This is Mathuleni Broadcasting Corporation. Inspired to inspire.
Okay.
Yes! Yes!
Mr. Moyo, do you have anything to add on what Dr. Skabate shared with us? And maybe to also answer the question, is Zimbabwe a captured state?
Thank you very much, Mr. Nkala. And also thanking all the participants here and the panelists as well. And also welcoming a very clear and concise submission by Babu Skabate Rapana. That was very clear in terms of highlighting the issue of the state capture here in Zimbabwe. I also concur with what Dr. Skabate has said, and also what Dr. Ndlovu here has also highlighted, also concurring with what Skabate said. Look, if we are looking at Zimbabwe, as you are already saying it, that Zimbabwe is a state that is captured. We are also going to look at some of the submissions that have actually been brought forth here. If we're looking at a state capture, we're looking at a scenario whereby it deals with the business, it deals with the politics, and also with the state. So those are three major branches which normally get captured, and hence here by politicians for their own benefits and also to further their own interest. I'm sure there's Skabate made it very clear that there is an element of particularistic interests that come into play when it is the issue of state capture, as well also highlighting the issue of the need to accumulate wealth, at the same time deriving a divide and rule tactic in the process to try to come up with a system of a control of some sort. And then also we see the oligarchs and also cartels that come into play. This is a reality that we see in Zimbabwe. I'm sure in 2021 there was a report that came through the Maverick report, the Daily Maverick from South Africa. They published a report of some of these cartels that are there in Zimbabwe and how they've been benefiting and looting out the state, whereby even the president himself, Emmerson Mnangagwa, was also implicated as one of the people that are furthering all these corrupt activities that are happening in the state. So if we're looking at this, I want to touch a little when it comes to these three aspects here. The tribal capture, which Dr. Skabate actually alluded to and also emphasized, especially on ethnicity grounds, and also the political capture as well, which is also very important. We are looking at Zimbabwe as a command country. There is command politics, there is command economy, there is command state. The state being how they command the people. They want everyone to toe the line. They don't want any dissenting voices. Anyone who's opposing is regarded as an enemy. But I want to be a little bit particular in terms of our struggle as the people of Matebeleland, that is Mtwakazi. As he has already alluded to that from 1980, there was already a grand plan that was structured as a way to deal with the issues of Matebeleland. Either they were looking at it historically to say Mzilikazi came here and did this. That's the argument that even today they keep bringing up to say Mzilikazi came here and started plundering and taking kekli and taking wives and so on. But if you get deep into what they're saying, there's really no relevance at all. It's just an issue of hegemonic tendencies to try to establish Shona as a system that is in control of the whole of Zimbabwe. If you look at it from the grand plan perspective, that was authored before 1980, which is 1979, as a way to structure as how they would control the whole country, ethno-based, to limit the power of the people of Matebeleland. And I'm sure they were deriving it, taking it from how they had seen a party like ZAPU and an army like Zipra, how powerful they were. You'll just back and see that they were advised to know which the only way to limit these people will be either to capture them and to capture their systems and to reduce them, to ensure that they do not have that leverage to be able to continue and build up a nation. I'm sure Skabate mentioned that Zimbabwe is just a state, it's not a nation, because if it was a nation, it was going to be very comprehensive and also accommodating to everyone. So from the tribal capture point of view, we are looking at the Shona Hichimone, whereby systematically everything is now favoring the people from Mashonaland, which actually has made all the institutions to be captured. And then it gives us an institutionalized tribalism within the country, whereby even a person who does not know much about what happened later or long day in history, automatically they are favored by the system to just fit into the system automatically. That's I always say that he has got 15 points, a 15 points, and the other is from Matebele and has got a Mandebele name. The other one is coming from Mashonaland and has got 15 points. Automatically, we're going to ask to apply. Systematically, the Ndebele person is given a second option, and the Shona is given the first option. So, in tribal terms, some applies to employment. You apply, you push your CV, the other one pushes their CV. The fact that they are Shona, they are really considered. I remember when I went for attachment in NRZ, I'm sure it was somewhere there around 2001, 2, somewhere there. I had gone for an attachment there. The first thing when I came in there, the foreman who was the foreman there asked us if we all can speak Shona. That was in Railways Day in Bulawayo. He asked us if can we all speak Shona. I said I don't speak Shona. He said why? I said why should I speak Shona? I said Shona is a national language. So he said to me, you should start now making sure that you learn what Shona. So to a certain extent, I was like, so why this person is in Bulawayo and is in control of NRZ in Bulawayo, and is insisting that everyone who's supposed to come in here is expected to speak Shona. You see, those are hegemonic tendencies that are already supported by the system to enable everyone who's coming from Shona, meaning that if we're applying, if I couldn't answer some of the questions in Shona in an interview, definitely I wasn't going to be considered for the position, to get the point. So those are the things that I'm trying to bring here to say, if we look at it is systematically even supported. I'm sure we all remember the likes of Energy Mtoti, who was the Minister of Information then, who actually said Ndebelers are foreigners actually from South Africa. And he went with that and no one actually condemned his statements. Even the president himself had nothing to say to even make him to apologize to the people. But that was sending a message to say the state is actually supporting this. We saw also some time back, even this Holland, Sakai Holland, also said the same sentiments when he said the Ndebelers were taking rustlers and so on. And then we also heard Monica Mtswanga one day when she was talking, saying the Ndebelers are the minority, what you call this, Russia's minority and so on. Those were some kind of sentiments that are actually intonating to create a certain element about the people of Matebele and to say they really do not belong in Zimbabwe. And hence someone asks, do we really belong there in Zimbabwe? So systematically, every institution and everyone has been captured to a point that the people of Matebele needs to be sidelined in almost everything. Even Mnangagwa himself, we hear him past sentiments that has been uttering, saying anyone who is going to be talking about the issues of joggers will get their lives shortened. Those are the kinds of things that we see that are being promoted by the government itself to institutionalize tribalism and then also enhance marginalization. Hence, we see millions of our people have been structurally pushed out of the country, and then many of them now, millions of them now are in neighboring countries, some overseas. It is because of most and many of those issues. Then we look at the political aspect, which is the capture, which actually is the one that is affecting us a lot. Because on the political aspect, that's a regulatory capture, which we are talking of, whereby there's some element of agency capture or a form of corruption of authority, whereby everyone within the authority politically is empowered to be able to defend the system. So we're looking at that, creating certain entities, and then we look at it from the policy making point of view. I remember if we now look at the bureaucratic element of how Zimbabwe is run, the Politburo, which is the ZANU-PF element, nonetheless, even if they may not be in ministerial positions in the government, they are the ones actually that are influencing everything that is happening within the parliament, because everything is planned there. I remember a few weeks ago, the Speaker of Parliament raised an issue of the diaspora board. when he actually highlighted and said there is a need to look into the diaspora vote. And the comments that followed after he was sat down and he was lectured to say, why would you raise such a point which we had not discussed as political, looking at also the political parties, whether it's political parties they are formed. We are looking at ZANU-PF. They have been a struggle to ensure that at least there is one party state from 1980, and then either way they came up with a let's have an opposition. But if you look at the opposition itself, the MTC, when it was formed, there is also that element that is running within ZANU-PF that is also running within main opposition parties that are national. Gibson, in the formation of MTC, was supposed to be the president.
Okay, Doctor, let me come to you. Is state capture a bad thing?
Yes, Dabemngwa has alluded to the fact that almost all states are captured. I'll also want to draw from Dabemngwa when he actually mentioned is something that probably is hereditary in the sense that it was created from the Berlin Conference, where they developed such kind of systems. And they came with the divide tactics. Now we inherited so by the post-colonial governments, where we see what is happening right now is a reflection of the colonial era. And then when you look at it from either it's a good thing or it's a bad thing, I don't believe it can be a good thing in the sense of how Dr. Skabate explained this whole look at it that somehow if we go back to the creation of each and every human being, we are innately given a right to belong. And for that reason, it becomes totally wrong for each human being to come to the control of another human being, and then all of a sudden their life is changed or directed to a certain direction by a certain individual, not only for their benefit, but for the benefit of one who is the captor at the time. So in this sense, I'm looking at the bad part of the state capture as we are talking right now, because it keeps people in a roller coaster environment or movement whereby we're not going anywhere. If you look at it from the state capture that we have just been describing, especially from the Zimbabwean point of view, you'll discover that by just disadvantaging the people of Matabeleland, you're actually disadvantaging the whole of Zimbabwe, as Dr. Khuphe was saying, which not everyone, I mean, like everyone in Zimbabwe is dehumanized. You know, it is that element that they tried to use, which was used by the majority colonial rulers at the time, where they were making sure that many other people do not have access to resources, but they themselves and their masters. So by so doing that, as much as we are looking at the ethno-based capture, we are also looking at it that whatever it is that they are doing to Matabeleland, to say they do not want them to access any resources or to develop their areas, that impacts as well to a whole nation as Zimbabwe. This brings us to a point that for me to say I belong to Zimbabwe, I need to feel and have those benefits and be able to proudly say, really, I do belong. I'm sure Dr. Skabate said it as to how in Europe or in the UK they actually do in following up and buying, or in a way bribing people to feel that they really belong to the country. That's not what we are finding in Zimbabwe. So the bad part of it is here. If we go back to what is happening right now systematically, go to the prison, to the jails right now and see what is happening. Just go to any police station. They are still using those old type of colonial systems or colonial tools that were used to suppress and also disadvantage Black people. The same government of Zimbabwe has adopted that and inherited it, and they are using it. Go to the prisons right now. Look at the life there. It's dehumanizing. No one wants to be in that jail. Even they the government itself, even the leaders themselves, they wouldn't want to stay a single hour or a minute in jail because they know how dehumanizing that environment is. And then you look at using that as a means to deal with anyone who is in opposition. So in such a situation, you realize that such colonial era still exists today, but now is the government black to black colonialism, whereby some black people are deprived certain opportunities. And then at the end of the day, they feel they don't really belong to a certain state. Hence, it goes back to what, when we as MRP are standing up and saying, why shouldn't we secede from Zimbabwe? It becomes a question whereby other people say, why do you want to secede? And then some people will argue and say, but we all belong to Zimbabwe. But the question is, do we belong to Zimbabwe? That's the first question. If I am dehumanized and then I don't feel like I have that kind of a belonging, it goes back to the same declarations for human rights according to the UN Charter, that each and every person has a right to secede, or each and every person has a right to self-determine themselves, depending on the circumstances that they are being exposed to. So you look at it, the state capture in Zimbabwe has failed to create a nation. And then by so doing, it has created confusion, which now Zimbabwe is in the brink of breaking down, because there is a lot of confusion and a lot of political turmoil that is ongoing. And to me, it's a sign that they have failed to build a nation. They have just continued to maintain that kind of a colonial system that was used to oppress other people, but now they are dealing with other black people in the same degree. So to me, I don't think in a very probable situation, say, we see is that when you look at it, definitely end of the day is benefiting quite a few people, it's not benefiting almost everyone. In this particular, when we come to Zimbabwe, we are realizing that the people of Matabele are disadvantaged, and we cannot be running away and trying to trivialize those issues and be too politically correct about it. What I like about Dr. Skabate is that he's blunt to the point academically, of which those are facts that you cannot argue against, because it's the truth that is there, that is emphasized. But sometimes we try to be politically correct, because when we're talking of state capture, it is not without the mention of politics. Because for Matabeleland to develop, there is a need for a political power. But the political power has been whipped away from us and it's been taken away from us to the point that we're not even able to raise a voice. Whenever you try to raise a voice, you are now regarded as a person who is dissenting or who is opposing the government. Even right now, the people of Matabele, when they stand up to speak against all these, they are the ones that are now labeled to be tribal. But am I tribal when I am actually pushing for self-determination, to say, I don't feel like I am welcome to this state? Why am I not protected? If you look at it, if Zimbabwe was really serious about developing a nation, why is it even in Zimbabwe there is not even a single policy that protects minority groups when it comes to the economy, when it comes to social constructs and everything? There is not even a single policy, whether it's in employment or whatever is happening. There is nowhere where they can say, okay, let this sector be reserved for the indigenous people, for the people of that particular region. There's not even a single, they are not even interested in crafting such kind of laws. And then I look at it and say, every time what they try to do is to emphasize that Zimbabwe is a unitary state. But then ask yourself how unitary Zimbabwe is. That was just that piece of a document in 1987 whereby they tried to unite the two factions that were fighting. When actually Nkomo saw that the people of Matabele were being massacred and it was going to go too far, and then Nkomo had to battle and to say, okay, the only thing that can do this is try to forge a unity. But look, how did that unity benefit us, the people of Matabele? Not at all. We didn't benefit anything. Still, the capture continued. You see now. So we are looking at all these situations and we are simply saying what is happening in Zimbabwe is so bad. And it has come to a point whereby it is on the brink of breaking. And I believe that the only solution to this, it is only going to restart everything from scratch.
Mr. Moyo.
It was very beneficial. So, when we come from political angle and then we get balance, it really nourishes the whole thing. And I'm so thankful for this interface. Ngibonge kakhulu ubaba uSigabade, ubaba uHadebe, ubaba uMguni noma engasekho lapha ubaba uNdlovu. I really learned a lot, indeed a lot that I learned. Sabonga kakhulu lama participants akade khona lo sengasazwanga nabo bekhomenta, but
Yeah.
I believe ukuthi we all
Ngiyawaxolisa kakhulu la. Siyabonga kakhulu, sibonge kakhulu ama-panelists ethu, sibonge nama-participants engingasawanikezanga ithuba. Sibonge nabo bonke abalaleli nababukeli be-Entitlement Broadcasting Corporation. Igama nguThulana kaNkala, ngithi khulu.
This is Entitlement Broadcasting Corporation. Inspired, inspire.